Michael Spalsbury asks, maybe one of the more important questions. When making with a passionate purpose, i.e. the Shining Maze, so you are saying, when I am making something with a passionate purpose, is there a monetary exchange involved? Or is it the pure ecstasy of knowing you're a small part of memorializing the film? No, there was no monetary exchange involved in that, in making the Shining Maze. But you bring up a really interesting question, because like Tom Sachs and I have talked about this, right? We talk about what we make in our spaces and what we do with them. And like, I was talking to him about my Blade Runner pistol, about the Blade Runner blaster that I made. And, you know, I've made the Blade Runner blaster 3 times in my life. At least. I've also built kits of it. I've also built half a dozen kits of it, but 3 times I've set out to make the Blade Runner gun from scratch, and I did it when I was 18, I did it again when I was 26, and I did it again when I was 40, when I had television money. And could afford the actual guns the thing was made from and to gunsmith them to my needs. And Tom and I were talking about the Blade Runner blaster, and he was like, yeah, man, if you wanted to enter the high art realm, you got to be able to put all that energy into that thing and then sell it to someone. And I'm like, man, I don't think I could do that. And to be fair, like the sale price of an object like that is less like what will the market bear than like how much you've got to bribe me to give up all that experience. And that's the fine art model. You put everything you have into this stuff, and it's not going to land, it's not going to be rigorous unless you do. Don't get me wrong, there are certainly outliers, but to me, like, you want to make real art, you want to make something that lands with culture and has its own point of view and its own morality. You got to put all of you into it, and it's only going to work when you do. And boy, we can all tell when someone's only put half of themselves into a piece of work. So it's both. There is a pure ecstasy from contributing to the film and understanding and walking through that sympathetic magic of walking in the footsteps of craftspeople that walked before me, building the same things they did, noticing the same witness marks, making the same mistakes, finding the same solutions through other channels. That is a glorious feeling. And every now and then, you can do that for commerce, that both happen at the same time. Actually, the OnePlus videos we made, we joked all the way through that OnePlus job. They came to us with the idea of embedding the phone in resin, and I was like, I love this idea. I'm making it work. That sounds like so much fun. It was hard, it was concerning, but man, I was like really happy with the results. It's fabulous, by the way, when a client comes to you knowing what you do and asks you to do what you do. That is rare and awesome. Here is a lovely question. MS Zerme asks, last year was the worst year of my life. I lost my wife of 34 years to cancer. I am so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine. I have come to terms with it, and I'm slowly moving on with a life I never expected. And you're only 61. Trying to get my motivation back for making has been a struggle. Any thoughts with getting my mojo back? Looking forward to meeting you in Vancouver next month. Oh, I'll see you in Vancouver. Yes. Your question reminded me of a passage I read in one of Ram Dass's early books, and I can't remember which one it is, but Ram Dass is a 60s counterculture figure, R-I-M-D-A-S-S. His original name was Richard Alpert. He was a Ivy League professor. I think it's Harvard. And he went to India in the 60s and became Ram Dass. And anything you can find written by him is wonderful. He's a deeply loving human being. I got to work with him a bunch of years ago. I art directed a set for a show he did for about 2.5 months. And And meeting him was everything that I was hoping it would be after having spent so much time reading his writing on Buddhism and meditation in my late teens and early 20s. Ram Dass has a story about coming back from India, and he comes from commerce people. Like his dad's a super capitalist, and he comes back. He gets word that his mom has died while he's on an ashram in India, and he comes home and he's dressed in his robes from the ashram, and his like conservative dad picks him up at the airport. And here are these two souls. His dad is like conservative. He's lost his wife. Here's Ram Dass. He's lost his mom, and he's wearing these robes. And his dad is like, he can't even wrap his head around his son wearing these robes from the ashram. He's like, he gets to the airport. He's like, get in. And he wants no one to see him, right? That he's picking up this weirdo that is his son. And Ram Dass is talking about all of this. And he's like, he doesn't know how to console his dad. But he knows that his dad and his mom were jammers. They made jam and jellies. And that his mom died, I think I'm getting the details right, just before they were to jar a whole bunch of the jam that they had in the house. And this still needed doing. So Ram Dass suggested to his dad that they just get on with the finishing of that project. And his dad acquiesced. It wasn't like he was looking forward to that, but it was something to do. And he said that after a few hours, he started to see not his dad lighten up, but yeah, maybe it is lightening up. The doing, the moving of his hands, the touching of the materials, the logistics, just occupying part of his brain with the logistics was clearly very healing. I have found making to be a great succor for grief, actually. And I have a couple of builds here in the cave that are the direct result of losing people really close to me. I think it's sort of like cleaning up at the end of the day. I finished doing all of this stuff late last night. I worked until like 7 o'clock, which is really not like me. But I wanted to reach a certain milestone. And when I finished, I was like, I gotta sweep up, because if I come in tomorrow and it looks like this, I'm gonna be pissed. And I didn't want to sweep up. But sweeping up only took about 15 minutes. And then I came in the next day and it was freaking fantastic. And that's kind of this approach, I would say, is you're not going to feel like your mojo's back. And this grief will take some time. And it's going to have its way with you, right? You're different than you were before. So everything will be different moving forward. That is something I'm sure of. Because you're now, in a completely different frame. But I do think that like allowing the idea that the making can happen even though you're not feeling it. You can push into that and let yourself have breaks from that grief with the doing. Best of luck to you, man. That is really harsh, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.